Thank you guys for checking in to Sublime Flight. Today we're going to be covering the 2022 Downtown Urban Open. This is the 11th time we've run this tournament in 11 years. Today, myself, Philip Bartholomew, will be doing commentary with
Mr. Gage Stiles, and before you do anything else, pause the screen, check out the sponsors, because without that, the tournament would be nothing.
That's right, and I do believe this is a fundraiser event every year. Everything's going to a good cause. And we're coming up to hole one. We have got the final round here. We've got Gage and Abel tied at the top, with Anthony and Ryan tied for technically third place, I guess second place. We've got hole one here, 193 feet. It is playing a little longer than that since you have to swing it out so wide. And it looks like Abel's doing a great job at that, except for getting that one.
Round one, we had a lot of rain, so the tee pads are going to be slick. Maybe the last two holes it was downpouring, but we took a lunch, got some food, dried off our clothes, and back to it. I actually finished on this hole, and it was raining so much I just grabbed the disc because I couldn't feel my hands, and it worked out that time, so I just do it again.
What was the temperature like today?
It was cold, but you could obviously feel your hands and all that. Probably, I'd say 50s.
Okay, so not too bad.
Not too bad, just the wetness was the main temperature. Oh,
sure. Wow. And here, Anthony, you're going to see a lot of interesting forehands, some really awesome hyzer forehands, but he has got some special flip up to turnover forehands that you're going to see today. Ryan Hahn looking like it's been a little wide. Gets a gracious kick, probably off the building that is right there to the right of this. This is the Downtown Urban Open, so we're going to be seeing a whole new urban environment that most disc golfers would not be used to.
Here's Wade, maybe a little bit too stable or just slipped out. You do have to push it a lot wider than you think, so that's very common to wind up below this tree.
Yeah, and I think going too wide and then being too early because of the disc stability just hyzering out early is going to be a pretty common miss on that hole because the shot shape is high and hard right and then immediately fading left. Looks like we're dealing with a little bit of wind today.
Yeah, I think it was very gusty, so it wasn't consistent. Just missed a little, or Abel missed a little high there.
Yep. Oh, he's a young player still, and I think right now he's 16 in this video, so it's pretty nerve-wracking. We've got Gage taking a birdie and Anthony taking a birdie on hole one. Awesome birdies.
It's a very tricky. I feel like the par would be just fine right there. Hole two, I like this hole as the second hole on the course. It's very touchy forehand to make sure you've calmed your nerves so you don't end up too short or too long, but you're always kind of going to have a play.
Yeah, I think the play for most players here will be a forehand unless you're a backhand dominant player. I think it's a little easier to scoot up there and play this soft shot through these trees. There is a right-hand backhand line down the right gap, and then like you saw Anthony throw with his left-hand forehand. And yeah, this is a hanging basket, so we'll see if the wind gets that basket rocking in the tree. But it'll be a death putt if you're short, and it will probably be an easy tap in if you're not too long.
Yeah, I think if you go long, obviously uphill, and there's a lot of players that don't like that, but the footing, I feel like, is the what you want to try to avoid by going long.
Yeah, we got a couple players close.
Most of them filter down into this ditch, and it has a bunch of rocks, so you just have to make sure your feet are stable before putting.
So now, how do you feel putting on that basket as it's moving back and forth? Does that play with you at all? It looked like you're about 25 feet or so.
I don't think I have good eyesight, so I might not have noticed that. So I just see the yellow band and just try to throw it just below that.
Next time I go play, I'll make sure to take my glasses off so I can test that theory. All right, we got a couple players tapping in for birdie here. It feels like a must-get. It's not terribly long. It's not terribly hard. I think the only thing that would get you a little nervous is going down that hill if you missed.
This did average the easiest hole on the course, tied with another one, so it is one to get.
Looks like we got some rain coming in now on hole 3. This is 128 feet. It's a very specific shot. You want to play it high and very inside. You can see here, you looked like you threw a great shot, and it was actually left.
Yeah, on this one, you want to, like naturally, when you're throwing that spike hyzer, you want to like push it out to the left on a right-hand forehand and then draw it back in. But if you get it high enough, because you're throwing such a steep angle, it's not going to want to drift right, so you have to keep it very close to that building, which is uncomfortable.
Yep, fun fact, if you're looking to throw this shot to make it move more right for a right-handed forehand, a slightly less stable disc could help it pan out to the right a little further. You'll see a lot of guys throwing Firebirds or anything that is an overstable driver, and you see how when it gets up high and it starts to stall, it knifes down. Here was a cool example of Anthony's turnover forehand that I was mentioning earlier. Unfortunately, he caught that tree right off of his drive, so we didn't get to see it pan out.
Yeah, this is, I want to say, a tough shot. If you were to just give a left-handed player and tell him to, as Wade makes that long putt, take a left-handed player, tell him to throw this on forehand, they're not going to do it any better than Anthony's doing.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. Looks like you're a little strong there coming down that hill. Maybe a little awkward putting over a railing. We're not used to that.
And I also aren't a fan of downhill putts, so I know I struggle with that and it kind of gets in my head, but as you can see, Ryan, he doesn't have a problem with that. Abel cleaning up his birdie. I noticed he didn't throw a forehand on that. He threw the high turnover backhand, and I think at this time he was struggling with an injury and was trying to limit his forehands.
Yeah, he definitely has some problems with, I believe, his middle finger. We've got hole 4 here. It's all of, what is this, 42 feet?
42 feet, yes.
If you do not make it up, there's no penalty stroke. You just keep throwing, I believe, until you're through your third shot.
Wade going there with the jump putt and got a little turned over and rolled away, which I feel like on this one you just want to land the disc so flat.
You can see the real frustration on all these players' faces or even in their body language when they don't make that, because it seems so easy to get it up and over onto the second level or third level of this parking deck. But it is so straight up this tee box. I think on the last hole and this hole, it would be advantageous to tee, like Anthony's doing here, further back on that tee box so you get a little less of a steep look.
That way, to that point, whenever you're backing up, it not only widens the gap, but I've seen so many hit the top ceiling and then just spit back out, which can be even more frustrating than just missing the gap altogether.
So now, Wade, with that putt, I believe when you're in a parking deck, and we've got Gage here, awesome putt. When you're in a parking deck, knowing that if you miss, your disc will most likely slide as far past as you were just at, it does create some hesitancy in your putt, and I think that Wade decided to almost just lay that up rather than suffer that consequences.
You definitely like unconsciously change your putt when you know it can just, instead of laying beside the basket on a miss, just slide to 25 feet and you're in the same situation.
It's like ice out there for these next 3 holes.
Hole 5, it's a little over 280 feet, and I prefer to try and get it out there in the air rather than playing the skip game. And
wow, you hit the back wall before you touch the ground.
I just think that sliding, you're just going to slide into the wall and stick there. I'm just trying to hit the wall and bounce back towards the basket.
Yeah, and so to your point, you can see Anthony here. I think depending on if you get the disc flat when it touches the ground versus on that hyzer angle, if you're flat at all, you're going to go straight to that wall and have a 30-footer. This would be the one miss that you're trying to avoid. I think Gage may be one of the best players in this tournament with throwing low-driven shots. So this was your hole, and you showed us why.
And that's, I feel like Abel just put a little bit too much hyzer, but if you are trying to do the low skip play, I feel like the angle is a little bit, matching the angle and getting that skip is too inconsistent to swing it around that sidewall, because if you're stuck in that corner, you have nothing.
Yeah, and it's either going to be like Ryan just threw here, pushing it a little bit wider, or keeping a straighter disc and trying to play a skip at the end.
Wade here going with the skip shot as well. See, that's the issue. That's my reason why I don't throw that skip shot, because if you landed on the wrong spot, on the wrong angle, you're behind that wall.
Yeah, I think if you're going to throw that shot, you in disc golf always almost
With
making a turbo,
club, yeah.
but you always have to commit to what you want your miss to be, rather than what what the hole's calling for. So here, throwing it right would have been way better of a miss, like you did here, and you've got a 23 footer maybe.
Yeah, and I feel more confident in my putt than my throwing ability. So just throwing the highest percentage shot that gets me inside 28 feet, that's what I'm always going to throw.
Yeah, and Anthony, he is a right-handed putter, a left-handed forehand player, and do you know what hand he throws backhand?
Does not throw backhand. I've played multiple rounds with it, haven't seen it yet, but he is working on it. He is working.
Gotcha. All right, we've got a few birdies there, one par. We are going on to
hole 6.
maybe the hardest hole.
to par. With that said, par is an excellent score. So there is a double mando on both of the telephone poles as Anthony gets the forehand up over there. I think it sets up well for a left-handed forehand.
And I think that's about, and I think this is Ryan here. Oh, that's going to be inside.
And that's what the right-hand backhand, that's the trying to get it up onto that second level. That's the error.
This is probably going to be one of Abel's best type of shots. That here we go, nose up, kind of air bouncy backhand. He throws that really nice touch shot very well.
So Ryan going to the drop zone, which is on the other corner of the parking deck. Still have to go through the double mando, which is why he's swinging that forehand over there.
And that was really well done, keeping the pace of that shot down so that he didn't slide too far past.
Here's Wade with the up and down over that brick wall.
So now this is a putt that you kind of have to gauge a little bit. See what I did there?
I did.
Making sure that, and you did such a good job of that, making sure you don't just scream by this, because it will slide, like I said, 20, 30 feet if you're not careful.
And Anthony's in a situation where you feel like you can't lay that up, so you have to run it, but then you risk going 25 long, sliding, and you don't want that.
He caught an extremely good break there. Abel did not. Anthony actually rolled back to the pin.
And you can see in his shirt, it is windy now that we're on top of the parking deck, which the elements have. The wind has picked up, but as you can see, some of our jackets have came off because the wind died down. Or I mean, the rain stopped.
Yep. And so we've got no birdies, 2 bogeys actually. That's going to be because that is the hardest hole relative to par.
Here's now, once we got to the parking deck, we're now throwing down. This one actually threw a really good shot during the first round, but even though the elements changed, the wind direction changed, I still threw the same shot just because it worked out the first time, which I can't give advice for.
This is going to be the hole where if you're going to throw it left or right, if you're going backhand or forehand, you're going to have to commit to going very wide, because as that disc comes in, unless you're using something crazy stable, it's going to move to the left or right significantly. I believe the best play will be the overhand.
And that just looks so simple for Wade there, just doing the
And I think this is what I would have done in the past years if I were going to play this hole. You have to clear that tree. And I believe this hole is typically sponsored by Terry Gallups, one of the best overhand players in North Carolina for the past, probably 20 years now, almost 20 years. Abel's doing a great job of, like I said, putting it really wide and getting rewarded maybe with a little tree love down there.
Right here, I think we're discussing whether or not the road long is OB, because there are traffic cones. but I am safe. Just a little upshot, bounce off the light pole there.
Yeah, and for anyone looking to play tournaments, no matter what you do, if you believe it is or is not in bounds, always read what that live scoring scorecard tells you. If they do not tell you that the road is out of bounds and your disc is out of bounds and you thought that it would be, it would not be out of bounds. It always goes by what the ruling is on that live scoring. Most PDJ tournaments do have that live scoring now.
Talking with Anthony, he was saying that this was kind of the hole that always got him. And he finally put it up there inside with an easy putt, but then couldn't connect because probably you just wanted that birdie.
Yeah, wanting it to be, you wanted it pretty bad there. The basket, I'm not sure how bad it wanted it, but it stayed. Oh, that's incredible. Gage is not shy of showing his emotions on the disc golf course. Mostly only the good ones. I don't think I've ever seen a bad emotion.
Oh, wait. Getting into business.
Was that an under the leg putt?
I think I saw that, yeah.
Oh my goodness. We got 2 birdies. Unfortunately, 1 bogey there. We're moving on to hole 8. 245 feet here.
The previous hole was Anthony's kind of his hole that he couldn't quite figure out. This was my hole that I couldn't quite figure out. All it is just, you just slide it down the concrete and then have a putt, which was my strength, but just couldn't figure it out. It's a little over 200 feet, but there's just so much in the way.
Yeah, there's so much in the way. It looks like all of one tree right in the middle that's 2 feet from the basket. So, Gage, I can see how that was a difficult hole for you. Just joking.
Ryan throwing the perfect shot where you're just hitting the front side of the bank and killing the speed by doing that.
And here's one of Anthony's signature forehand flip-up shots with his lefty forehand.
That was the tree I was talking about.
I believe in the years like 2023 they cleaned this up.
Well, the basket actually used to be pushed back maybe 100 feet on the other side of this parking lot, which I think is the better hole because you don't have that 300-foot mid-range.
You
but
have
this
to
is still
almost
a
throw a
tricky
driver on that hole that was in years past.
Me giving a little bid with the forehand. I feel from that like 60-foot range, I just feel more comfortable giving it that forehand bid rather than trying to force a putt, overthrow the putt, and I'm a lot less accurate that way.
Yeah, with a forehand like that, with that amount of touch, I don't blame you.
Here's Abel, went a little long. Oh, didn't get the basket off.
Good of Ryan here to check the wind. Always check the wind, then check it twice. Make sure it's nice. Typically, the wind is not nice, but he makes it work. It didn't look like he had too much going on there, maybe inside 20 feet. And this would be a hole that I think we'd like to get birdies on. 1 birdie, otherwise, even for the card, if you take the bogey and the birdie, you're up by 4 still. Or actually, you've lost 1 stroke to them, I believe, so far. But you're holding on to your lead. This is hole 9, 421.
So the basket's actually pushed to the curb, so all you have to do, similar to the previous hole with a lot less trees involved, just get it down there on the asphalt, slide it down to the curb, tap in.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, it looks like Wade got that one a little bit nose up. I think that I don't want to jinx you here, but I think you're going to do a pretty good job of getting that disc low and sliding it up on that curb like you just said. Typically, this basket's pushed back off that curb another 50 feet, right?
Yeah, I think it was just muddy back there, and pace of play was easier.
Yeah.
Something I think I did well on the previous hole, not to brag, but being able to land the disc, especially on asphalt where it's more susceptible to a skip, getting it to land flat so it drifts straight rather than like Abel's hitting with that angle and then it's just going to skip significantly left.
Yeah, I think between knowing the wind and then knowing your discs, that would make up most of the battle, and then obviously maybe just your skill level if you're good at throwing that nose down shot. Well, we got Anthony here. He's going to clean up. This looks like a pretty short putt. For such a great player like himself, he's going to make that almost every time.
Yeah, he every time it just seems like his putt is gonna go in. Wade, that was a nice cleanup there. It looked strong and confident.
Yep, everybody looks like they're starting to get in their putting rhythm. That's always good. It always seems like it takes so long to get in a good putting rhythm, and then you're 12, 13, 14 holes in.
Yeah.
If you can start putting good at the beginning and keep it good the whole time, that's pretty much how you win tournaments, I think, Gage.
I would agree with that.
A pretty good hole, with it being the longest hole so far, with 3 birdies. We're moving on to hole 10 here. What do we got, Gage?
212 feet, a little uphill, but a lot of asphalt to work with. So you just want to throw a stable disc out there with right hand forehand and just let it skip off the asphalt to kill the speed and kind of maneuver your way to the basket. It was definitely more hyzer than I wanted. I think I just lost focus through 9 holes. Just relax.
Yeah.
We're just playing disc golf. There's nothing serious about that.
Nothing serious at all. Yeah, Anthony there, he's trying to go with that hyzer flip forehand, which he is so good at throwing. But in the wind, when you're throwing that much hyzer, Wade, excellent shot there, played perfectly. In the wind with that much hyzer, sometimes it's hard to get the disc to fully manipulate. I think throwing maybe a slightly stable disc on some anhyzer may have panned out better, but you have to trust Anthony with that forehand. He's so good with it.
Yeah, the couple rounds that I've played with him, the only weakness that I've seen in his game is if the wind does pick up, trying to throw those understable discs a little bit less inconsistent.
Yeah. Oh, just chain it out a little bit left and low there for you, Gage. Anthony here, we're going to see if he can make this for par. That's a pretty good par putt, showing his nerves of steel and how good of a putter he is.
Yeah, I feel like kind of halfway through the tournament, this is always a fun tournament, and I might have been just a little too casual with that one rather than being focused throughout.
Yeah, well, when you've got as much of a lead as you are able to have, it's easy to give one back and not mind it. That's going to be the first 10 holes. Really appreciate everyone for stopping by, checking us out. There's going to be a part 2 that you can go check out on the Sublime Flight channel.
Come back for part 2 and watch how it plays out.
Yeah, appreciate everyone watching. Go ahead and subscribe, give us a like, and we'll see you on part 2.